this video, I'm going to show you how we can set up WebXR together with VRTK. In this first part of the video, I'm going to show you how we import all the packages and make the basic setup. All of that stuff working through a browser. First of all, we'll need a few different packages. The first one is VRTK, of course. So let's go to the asset store. And here on the asset store, you can find the VRTK4 Tilia package importer. Click open in Unity and it should open your package manager inside of Unity. Now go to Window, Package Manager. Inside of the Package Manager, we go to My Assets and we need to scroll all the way to the bottom to where the VRTK version 4 Tilia package importer is located. Here we'll click Import, Install Upgrade if it asks you. When the importer shows up, you can just click Import Everything. We will also need two packages from the WebXR library. In this case, we'll be using a custom library from dpanther. So if we jump back into the browser on GitHub here, the link, so dpanther Unity WebXR Exporter. So this is an exporter that works specifically with WebXR for Unity. And there are two OpenUPM links here that we can go in and open. So the first one is called the WebXR Exporter. Select the link and copy it. Let's jump back into Unity. And inside of Unity in the package manager, we can click the little plus icon in the upper left corner and we can go to package from git URL. And here we'll just paste the link, click add, and it'll start importing that link. While this imports, we can go and grab the other link. That's for the WebXR interactions. Again, go and find the git link, copy it, jump back into Unity. And here back in Unity, again, click plus, go to import from git URL, paste it and add it and wait for it to finish. We would like a scene that has all the basic samples set up. So right here in the WebXR interactions, you can unfold samples and you can click the import button. So this is basically just the standard desert scene that WebXR has and then the functionality for grabbing stuff and things in the browser. But we of course want to change that into the VRTK options. So we're now done with the package manager, we can close it back up. And now we need to go and import the VRTK packages. So go to Window, go to the Tilia menu, click the package importer. The package importer will ask you if you want to add this scoped registry. Yes, please. With this registry now added, we can go in and we can select all the individual packages that we want to import. And there are a few packages that we need. We'll get the camera rig from the WebXR, meaning that we don't need any of the VRTK predefined camera rigs. The only one we need, however, is the tracked alias, because this is where we'll connect all the functionality from VRTK with WebXR. So going down a bit the list here, we also need the object pointers for later when we want to try to teleport. Go a bit further down, we also want the interactions interactables so that we can add objects that we can pick up and also add interactors to our hands. A bit further down, you'll find the locomotors axis move. We also want that for later so that we can push ourselves around in the scene using the thumbstick. Go a bit further down and you should be able to find the teleporter as well. This is the last one we need. Of course, there are a lot more other packages that you can choose and set up, but this is going to be what we need for the basic setup. Click Add Packages and wait for it to finish. When it comes up with the importing a scope registry, just click close and it'll show you your package manager settings where you have that scope registry added. We can just close back up our project settings. We can also close the package importer. We would now like to load this desert scene that I just talked about. So if you unfold the sample scene up here, go to the scenes menu and you can double click the desert scene and you should be able to see this desert scene here. I'll click one of the objects there, hit F on my keyboard to jump a bit closer. I would like these icons to be a bit smaller, so I'll just click this menu up here and I'll take the 3D icons and make them a lot smaller so that we can actually see our entire scene. So the way that WebXR is set up is it has hand tracking or controller tracking set up already. However, there's not a lot of functionality in this package itself. You can just grab stuff and throw it around. We would, however, also like to be able to teleport, to axis move, but also use all of the VRTK functionality for picking up objects. This is what we're going to set up now. We'll start with the interactions and setting up the camera rigs and everything. Then in a later video, we'll look into axis move and teleportation. First of all, unfold your WebXR camera set or camera rig. Now we want to add our tracked alias. So that's the VRTK implementation that will figure out where this WebXR camera is at all of the time. So right click in your hierarchy, go to Tilia in the bottom, prefabs, all the way down to the camera rigs, and you should only have the tracked alias. So click the tracked alias and it's now added to the scene. So we now need the WebXR camera set to be able to be tracked. Select the WebXR camera set. And here we need to add a linked alias association script. Over here in the add component, click that one and right link, and you should get a linked alias association collection. Double click that. We should now set up this linked script. We now need to define the headset, the cameras, the controllers and stuff like that. And this is basically done by dragging and dropping. First of all, the headset itself, that's the cameras option here. So add cameras to headset. Headset camera itself is located inside of camera. So unfold that one, go to main camera and drag that onto that option as well. well. Then the left controller and the right controller, they are located in these hand left and hand right. So take hand left and drag that onto the left controller, hand right and drag that onto the right controller. So the play area itself, the WebXR doesn't really have a play area per se. So that is why we will need the tracked alias as our play area. So we'll set that up like that. Now our linked association script is set up. Now we can go into the tracked alias. In here, we can now take the WebXR camera set and drag that onto the elements here. I'll just hover it above the 0 here and it'll add it as a element. If you unfold it, you can now see that you now have the camera linked alias right here. Next, what we're going to set up are some velocity trackers, and we'll also set up a grip press button so that we can grab stuff and throw with it. So inside of the camera set here, right click and add a new empty object. This new empty object, I will call it velocity, and I'll add yet another object under the XR camera set, and I'll call it actions. Let's start by setting up the velocity trackers. We'll set up one for the headset and the two hands. We might not use the headset first. We might not use the headset for now, but we can use that a bit later. So go to create empty and we'll call it head, and then V for velocity, then one for the left hand velocity and a right hand velocity. Now we can select all three of these at once and click add component. And here we should be able to add a average velocity estimator. So average velocity estimator. Now select each and every individual one of these. And now we need to set up the relative to and the source. So the source for the head, that's our cameras, and the relative to is our camera set. Do the same for the hand. However, the source of course needs to be the correct hand. So in this case, hand left relative to the camera set, hand right relative to the camera set. So now our velocity trackers are set up. Now we can set up our actions. We'll start by adding a basic action that is just our grip for both controllers. To be able to do this, we actually need a assembly definition so that we can tie in our VRTK packages, or rather the Cinia packages, and also our WebXR. To do this, we'll add a new folder. So right click, create a new folder. We'll call this folder WebXR add-on. And inside of this, we'll start by making an assembly definition. So right click, go to create and select the assembly definition. And I'll call it WebXR def. And this definition needs to tie in both the Cinia packages or the Cinia runtime and the WebXR. So in the list here that is currently empty, click the plus button and then the little dot next to the none. And let's search for Cinia, and we need the Cinia.runtime. Then one more, click the empty again and select a WebXR. Now go to the bottom of this and click the apply button. With this applied, we can now add our scripts. So go into, again, the folder here, right click, say create, and a C# script. We'll call this web grip, and let's open Visual Studio. First of all, we need to remove these using libraries up here. So we'll add a few of our own. So using, and the first one we'll be using is Cinia.action. And another one is our WebXR. So it's no longer a mono behavior, it is actually a Boolean action. We don't need the start, however, we will need the update function. So we'll remove start and we'll set up our public controller so that we can tie in our controller from the WebXR camera set. So let's say public, and we'll say WebXR controller, and we'll just call it controller. And then inside of the update function, we'll set up a receive function here, and we'll tie in the controller that we just defined, and we'll say get button, and the button we want to get is in the WebXR controller dot button types, and then we have the different button types here, and we want the specific grip button. That's basically all we need for a simple Boolean action that just responds to the grip press on a VR controller. So let's save this and jump back into Unity. Here back in Unity with everything compiled, we need to set up our Interactables and also our controllers. Let's try to start by setting up a Interactable object first. So go into your hierarchy, right click, and just create a simple cube. We'll make this cube a lot smaller. So let's say 0.2, and let's just move it up on the table so that we have it right here on the center of the table. So now we'll just use the VRTK Interactable creator. So go to Window, go to Tilia, the Interactions, and Interactable Creator. The Interactable creator is just a simple button. So with any object selected, you can click Convert to Interactable. It will make it into a interactable like prefab. When you click it, you can then define what you want to do with it. We'll set up a very basic version of this. So primary action instead of custom, change it to grab action follow. And the same goes for the secondary action here. Instead of custom, let's set it to grab action, but in this case swap, so that we just can move it from hand to hand. That's basically all we need to set up for the Interactable. Now we want to set up our interactors in our hands, and these hands are located inside of our tracked alias. So if you unfold your tracked alias, go to aliases and unfold the left and the right controller. Inside of these two, we want interactors to be located. Let's start with the left controller. I'll just close this menu. So right click the left controller, go all the way down to Tilia, prefabs, and we need to go to the interactions, interactors, and then interactions interactor is what we want to add. Let's just keep the name as it is. And in here you can see we want to add a grab action and we want to add a velocity tracker. So these are the two things we just set up. First of all is our velocity tracker. So let's start with the left hand and add the velocity tracker here. Now we need to set up the action for the two hands that we have. So right click your actions and add two empty game objects, one for the right hand and one for the left hand. And these two basically just need the web grip applied to them, and they need to know which controller they are located at. So select the left hand and add the left hand to that controller, select the right hand controller and add the right hand controller. So going back into our interactor, we can now take our grab action here, so left hand grab action, and add that to the Boolean left hand grab action. So now we can also add an interactor to the right controller here. Right click it, go to Tilia, Prefabs, Interactions, Interactors, Interactions, Interactor. This now also has an interactor on it. We'll add the velocity tracker for the right hand, so R hand V, and we also want right hand grip and add that as our grab action. And this is basically everything you need to be able to grip and grab a cube or any other interactable object in VRTK. In the next video, we'll look at how to axis move and also how we can teleport. So thank you for watching, everyone.